And I'm gonna start us off with a song that I think everyone probably knows. So I'm gonna invite you to sing along with us. My name is Joyous Dawn. This is Kele ni Toto. We're so excited to welcome you here. So you're actually gonna have a part here if you like. It goes like this. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. So you can sing with me. When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day. Sing with me. Lovely day, lovely day, a lovely day. Lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. A lovely day. You sound good. Lovely day, lovely day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great job.
All right, let's give it up for Joyous Dawn and Kele. Thank you. All right, a little louder so the folks online can hear us. Yes. Welcome. Welcome to our home. Welcome to our community. And welcome to this amazing celebration of 25 years. My name is Marlene Sanchez. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm EBC's Deputy Director. So beautiful to see all these faces and get to see you all in person. So before we get started, it's tradition that we start with acknowledging the land, that we start with acknowledging the people that have come before us, the people whose shoulders we stand on and do this work on behalf of. I want us to take a moment. I'm gonna go through the 4 directions, and I'm just gonna ask that folks just like hold space for that. Unfortunately, I don't have the smoke and the medicine, but the medicine is always with us. I believe that the medicine is within us, like we are medicine. So I wanted to start with the east, with the direction of the sunrise, the direction of the warrior, the direction of men, the direction of fire. And think about the people and the ancestors you want to bring into the room. I want to honor the direction of the west, the direction of the sunset, the direction of women, of water, of women warriors, the direction of our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, the direction of life. I want to honor the direction of the south, the direction of children, the direction of laughter, our innocence. Laughter is our medicine. The direction of knowledge that comes from the young people and the youth. The direction of the earth. I want to honor the direction of the north, the direction of our elders, the direction of our ancestors, the direction of air, of the heavens, the direction of knowledge. Then I want to honor the direction of the center, our two-spirited relatives, the direction of interconnectedness, the direction of community, what we're doing here tonight. And I want to just say Ashe to close us out. Thank you. Now, I get the privilege of introducing Mayra Estrada, 2001 Youth Poet Laureate. Hey, yes, give it up for Mayra. Mayra is 16 years old, a junior at Oakland High School. She is on the Latino Honor Roll, y'all, and is involved in many school clubs. She's been writing poetry since 6th grade, where she won her first contest. Her poetry is her strength, her power, and her self-expression, and we are so grateful that Mayra gets to share her gift with us tonight. So give it up for Mayra, y'all.
So you think you've got it bad? Those words were embedded in the back of my head like my daddy's phone number. He told me to call if anyone ever messed with me. Little did he know my biggest enemy was right in front of me. It was the system and their not-so-gentle reminder that I had to get it out the mud. Because Lord knows I wasn't given no free handouts. I wasn't given a place to cry, nor was I given the luxury of knowing I didn't have to work 10 times harder for every dime. There was never a day I knew I could sit down and relax without knowing there would be another bill to come up and bite me in the ass. It's even harder to live when I work and work and work, trying to survive, trying to outgrow the generational trauma of a cycle so neglectful to the babies with the brown skin. So you tell me, when I'm in this land of the free, do I have a chance to win? I was born with oppression being stuffed down my lungs, the pungent hatred against my races, knowing I had to tread lightly on every sidewalk, or who knows, maybe I might be the next female Trayvon Martin. Locked up in bloody shackles, handcuffs stripping me away of my humanity, and your lack of human decency only shows your disregard towards my phenotypic configuration. I was subjected to a life of poverty because the probability of making it out the hood was like walking on water. Running to God to supply me with hope because the facts are pointed against me. Ain't it funny how I'm defended in my own country? The law turned its back on me the day the Constitution was written. Had to defy the odds because they were stacked against me, taking back my freedom, trying to rewrite my destiny. There's never a day that passes where I don't think about the fact that I may be lit up and shot because of my blackness. And if I'm too Latin, I can't imagine them having any compassion. My destiny was given to me. My only decision was if I wanted to die or live the life of a prison inmate. So can't you see? You think I asked for this? There's never any love shown to the babies with the brown skin. Just pity from the ones that know this journey is so far from home. My story is so foreign, you would think I read it out of some medieval historical textbook. You believe the past is in the past and the present has changed, but I'm reliving the same stories, just edited. Every time I tell the tales of a brown baby and the life she had to live, they sigh and tremble with fear as if they really care. Like I'm some sob story from the Hallmark Channel. And one day I won't have so much left to give. It's so hard to not succumb to a statistic when my demographics do all the speaking for me. I speak the words that cut sharply off my swift tongue, because if I don't, then who will? I wasn't given the satisfaction of knowing you had love for my pigmentation when your distaste shines so bright, I could see it through your exercised lies. There's never any love shown to the babies with the brown skin. So I can try with all my might to go against your deliberate tactics to make me fail, and I can try to be much better than the ladies I see walking down Fruitvale. But please don't misunderstand me. I don't feel pity for the ones beneath me when I know they didn't do anything wrong but decline the life of a capitalist. It's never too much to bear. The burdens pile up behind my back, all swept up in a burlap sack I carry around, and there's no ridding myself of the tyranny when there's been no escape plan from the jump. I have no savior or team behind my back, every day living play by pay. I wasn't given a set route, trudging through America's animosity for those with too much melanin. I live in a land where it's one man for themselves. So I walk and I walk and I walk with no sign of direction. But my head's high and my eyes are set on the prize. I got my ancestors on my back, and that's all I need to escape your neglection. Thank you.
Yes, let's give it up for Mayra. Yes, that was beautiful. Mayra, thank you. Thank you for telling your story, for blessing us with your poetry, for sharing your gifts with us. This sister's powerful. And her mama's right there. Let's give it up for her mama. Beautiful, beautiful. Again, my name is Marlene Sanchez. I use she and her pronouns. I'm the EBC Deputy Director. I'm a proud founding member of All of Us or None. I also serve on the board of Legal Services for Prisoners with Children and the Alliance for Girls, which is also an organization that I co-founded and co-created with. I'm born and raised in San Francisco, San Francisco's Mission District. You know, I always got to shout that out. I'm an organizer. I'm also a mama. And I'm also a formerly incarcerated leader in the fight for ending mass incarceration. I caught my first case when I was 11 years old for fighting in school. And I was politicized in the process. I was actually politicized while I was incarcerated. And I learned about modern day slavery because my father was serving a 20-year sentence and he was making 30 cents an hour. But I also started doing community work in the 90s. And for those of you of my generation, you know that was a rough time. But I was also really blessed. I was on these like parallel tracks where I was also held by community. And so, Mayra, as you speak to and you look around here, this is your community too. I'll never forget the day that I was literally sitting on a milk crate in the Mission. And some of the outreach workers from the Young Women's Freedom Center came and gave me a job application. And I was in disbelief, and I filled it out anyways. I was like, these people are tripping. I was like, but okay, I'm gonna fill it out. Weeks later, I was back on those streets providing love, providing survival tools, providing harm reduction tools to young women working and living on the streets. At the age of 15, I was certified as a pre and post HIV counselor and a harm reduction practitioner. I brought political education to the jails, to juvenile halls. I was telling somebody a story. I got kicked out of a juvenile hall once, actually, for chanting too loud. And we brought sisterhood and siblinghood and healing to these places, and we were politicizing folks on the inside. That is what we felt needed to happen in order to build power. I witnessed firsthand some of my sisters inside be shackled during labor and then be thrown back into a cell as their babies get ripped from them. And we changed policies. We actually changed the policy that prohibits shackling during labor. And we didn't do that alone. We did that with organizations like Legal Services for Prisoners with Children, CCWP, Justice Now. There's so many organizations. This was years ago. 25 years later, we have a cadre of currently and formerly incarcerated women, people, trans folks, non-binary folks leading this movement. We didn't have that 25 years, but we have that now. 25 years later, we're now reimagining a whole new youth justice system, and you'll hear more from folks later today in terms of how that's happening, because there's people in this room who are doing that right now. 25 years later, we are continuing to build organization and institutions of leaders and developing that leadership pipeline. And I get to do that with passionate people who are committed to liberation. And those people are here in the room. I just want to shout out the Ella Baker Center staff. Where are you? Just wave your hands, because I get to work with these folks. I get to work with these folks, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your commitment and your passion to liberation. This is a fierce group of people, and our board. Our board is also here, and they're super supportive and powerful. So in the words of Martin Luther King, we are not free until we are all free. So let's continue to work until we free them all. Thank you. All right, I want to do some thank yous and some logistical stuff. I want to thank our sponsors. We had local businesses, national organizations, and service providers who really came through to support this anniversary. So I just want to say thank you to those folks. And I know there's a list of them somewhere in a screen. And so just want to shout out, and also want to shout out Laura Fox and Ria Sue from the Marin Community Foundation, Art and Donna Pantau, and Pastor John Balst from the Holy Cross Lutheran Church, who was here tonight too. I just want to say thank you. I got to thank him in person. I also want to thank our 25-year anniversary co-chairs. I know they're here. Holly Delaney Cole, where you at? Over there. Regan Pritzker, I know you're here, over there. Quinn Delaney and Sandra Bass. Thank you for your leadership throughout the entire year. And you know we're not done, but thank you, because they have been celebrating and supporting us all year round. So, we are here to celebrate, and we are here to raise money. So, if you want to get down and you want to make a donation, I'm going to tell you how. You can text EBC 25 to 41444. For those of you who are here, there's a QR code on your table. You can scan that. It will give you today's program. For those of you watching remotely, hey. There will be a link in the chat, so please follow that link. You'll also get the program and instructions on how to give. So thank you so much. Okay, now, 25 years. You know we did not get here by ourselves. And we didn't reach this milestone alone. It wouldn't have been possible without our community and without community organizations that really stand by us, that work shoulder to shoulder with us, that link arms with us, that fight campaigns with us. And we want to recognize some of those organizations tonight. We created our first ever Partner Empower Award, Awards, and the staff nominated a local, a state, and a national organization to award tonight. And trust me, it was not easy to just pick 3. I want to bring up our wonderful campaign manager, James King, to the stage to introduce the first Partner in Power Award. Hey, James, where are you?
There are so many reasons why we chose Urban Peace Movement as the recipient of this award. They're committed to getting people free. They invest in Black leadership and healing, and their work is rooted in culture. From the beginning, Urban Peace Movement has been intentional about combining organizing and healing. Their self-determination Black men's group has changed the lives of so many people we know. And they led the Ella Baker Center and many other organizations in their Silence the Violence campaign in Oakland. They're tireless in holding the district attorney accountable to not charge youth as adults, pushing policymakers to close DJJ the right way, and educating families about participatory defense, all while building the power of young people, because they are powerful. We're grateful for your partnership and support, and we will keep fighting with you. It's my honor to present our first ever Partner in Power Award to Nicole Lee, Executive Director of the Urban Peace Movement.
I just want to say thank you so much. I'm so inspired to look out into this crowd tonight. I'm here today because the fight continues. And we have to continue to fight for the world that we know our young people deserve. And I know that all of you are part of that fight with us. The work of Urban Peace Movement was built on a foundation that was forged here at the Ella Baker Center. As many of you may or may not know, I worked here for 10 years prior to starting UPM. And I am so grateful for the work of this organization. Congratulations to the Ella Baker Center. This is such an incredible and important community institution. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
All right, how y'all doing over there? Good. All right. Thank you, Nicole. I get the honor of continuing to work with Nicole. She is one of my sisters in the movement and one of my mentors, so such an honor to be able to recognize the Urban Peace Movement tonight. Now I'd like to introduce Zach Norris, Ella Baker Center's Executive Director. And I have a lot to say about Zach, so I will be reading. Over his 8 years as executive director, Zach's leadership has been transformational. Zach was a part of the original campaign to close 5 out of 8 youth prisons in California, and he has stayed to close the final 3. Yep. And it is because of Zach that we are here tonight at Restore Oakland. This is Ella Baker Center's forever home. Zach was the co-founder of this beautiful community resource hub that you all in tonight. Restore Oakland is the first place in the world designed for restorative justice and restorative economics. Hey. And supporters here and supporters who are watching, you made it possible to open this space, so thank you. Last year, during the largest uprising we've ever seen across the nation, people were asking themselves, what do we do? What do we fund instead of prisons? Well, here is a space. We are answering that question. This is what we build, community resource hubs instead of prisons and jails. Restore Oakland, for folks who are watching at home, Restore Oakland is a model. It's a model for the country, and it's a vision that we want to take to other cities and other places. The Ella Baker Center has always been a space that nurtured radical vision. From Zach's earliest days, when he held the vision of closing youth prisons, and people thought He was probably crazy. And to the vision of what comes next. Zach has been living and breathing our mission and values. Though I've only recently joined the Ella Baker Center staff recently, I've been in the community of the Ella Baker Center for a long time. I actually first got introduced to the Ella Baker Center in 1996 when I was beat up by police, and Cop Watch came and showed me how to do a protest and hold police accountable. This organization means so much to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to work alongside Zach. From my early days as executive director of the Young Women's Freedom Center to my work with Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice, it's been, courage, It's been an honor to work side by side with Zach as we continue to reimagine safety and continue to build a world without prisons. So please join me in welcoming Zach Norris.
Oh, no worries. Oh, I am just so excited to be here. How are y'all feeling? Oh my goodness, 25 years young. I see you, Deanna. Thank you for making this space possible. I want to thank my mama and sister for being here. They are teachers, and it's a Wednesday night. It's not easy to be out here as a teacher on a Wednesday night, which is my short way of saying I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. We would not be here celebrating 25 years without you. Marlene mentioned current staff. I also want to name past staff who are here, Nicole included, so many folks who made this possible. We are fancy in the Fruitvale, y'all. Look at this ceiling. We are fancy in the Fruitvale for a good cause. And tonight I want to talk to you all a little bit about determination and how we are going to get us free. But I first got to thank Van Jones and Diana Frappier for their determination. Marlene talked about the 90s, those neoliberal 90s, those so-called youth super predator, broken windows 90s. We wouldn't have gotten this organization out of the 90s if it weren't for y'all. So thank you, Diana, and thank you, Van. They built one of the first dedicated databases of police violence across the country. They got Officer Mark Andaya fired for the killing of Aaron Williams in San Francisco. That was unheard of in the 90s, y'all. And they kept building this organization. They kept dreaming. Books Not Bars, green collar jobs. I got hired as an organizer in 2003. And I love Marlene, but one thing you said that wasn't true is I didn't hold the vision of closing those youth prisons down. Families did. Families like Steve and Brenda who are here tonight, and Deborah, and Lourdes Duarte, and families like Barbara Jackson and Joyce Cook and Alan Feaster who are not here but who are here in spirit. They held that vision. They organized me because half the time they had to be determined because half the time they didn't know if they were actually going to be able to see their kids, and the other half of the time they didn't know in what state they were going to find them if they got a visit. And they said, we are going to close these youth prisons down. And that's what the hell we did, y'all. We organized, we built power, and we shut those youth prisons down. And not only that, we helped build this place. And we are organizing in adult prisons too. I got to shout out our amazing policy team. They are doing incredible work in contact with 8,000 folks across the state of California who are currently incarcerated, leveraging your power, the power of member volunteers, to be in contact with those folks to design the sentencing reforms that will get people home. And we passed the RISE Act, and then we got it one retroactive. And we passed the Racial Justice Act, and we're gonna get that passed retroactive as well. Are y'all with me? The RISE Act, you should know, in getting it passed retroactive means that some 20,000, it is our intention to reduce incarceration by some 20,000 years of incarceration. That is what's possible given the passage of these two RISE Acts. This place right here that we're standing on, this parking lot that is right now fancy in the Fruitvale, this building that you may have seen, would not have happened without you. It wouldn't have happened without you. People said it was a pipe dream, but you believed. And because you believed, we created a home for our freedom dreams and a model of what safety looks like. And people are rallying behind that vision. Just this year, we had nearly 50 cities across the country participate in Night Out for Safety and Liberation. This is this annual event where we are calling attention to what safety looks like. We are saying everyone deserves to be safe and everyone deserves to be free to be themselves, right? That is not too much to ask, and it's not too much to win.
That's right.
Now, I know these are not easy times. A lot going on, and I have my moments of doubt. But all I have to do is think about Alan Feaster. Alan said, I may have lost my son, but I'm adopting all of these youth in these youth prisons, and we are going to shut these youth prisons down. All I have to do is think about Barbara Doss directly confronting the sheriff of this county about the murder of her son. And I didn't even see that in person. I just saw the video, y'all. I would like you to think of the person that brings you determination, that helps you remember your determination. And know that there are a hell of people just like that across the country who showed up in 2020 in some of the largest protests in U.S. history, actually the largest protest in U.S. history. And I know you'll hear more about that from Alicia Garza and others. There are hella folks just like that person that you brought to mind, who are here in spirit and who are here with us. And because of your determination, this organization has grown. We are no longer that kind of upstart, scrappy organization that we once were. We know what it takes to win because we have done it, y'all. And y'all have made that possible. Our freedom dreams become real through determination and power building. And you might see these 6 snazzy banners up here. They're up here for a reason. They are up here because they represent the different terrains of power that we will be working on. Disruptive, narrative, economic, political, modeling, and healing power. And we adopted this framework, i.e. we stole it, from Ai-jen Poo, who is a legendary organizer. And thank you, yes. And this is how we plan to continue to build power over the next 25 years. We will fight across all of these terrains to win justice for youth and families across this country. We will bring our vision of safety and liberation to scale. And we will do it because of you. Because of your determination, this movement will continue to grow. So let's be encouraged, let's be determined, let's be bold, and let's win some damn power, y'all. Each and every one of us deserve to be safe, and we deserve to be free to be ourselves. That is not too much to ask, and it is not too much to win. Thank you.
All right. Let's have the folks online hear us, y'all. Hey! I want to thank Zach and also just acknowledge all of the thousands of folks who are currently behind bars, who are building with us, who are fighting with us, who are organizing with us and changing policy with us. Thank you. All right, I am really excited for our next piece on our agenda. I want to begin, I'm really excited to begin this conversation with my sisters in the movement, my sisters in the struggle, my sisters at the center. I want to introduce Michelle Alexander, Xochilarios, and Alicia Garza. Where you at, sis? Come on up. All right. You can come on. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit about their bio, and then we're gonna get started with the panel. So excited for this. Michelle Alexander is a highly acclaimed civil rights attorney, advocate, legal scholar, and author of The New Jim Crow, Mass Incarceration in an Age of Color Blindness, which sparked a national debate about the crisis of mass incarceration in the United States and inspired racial justice organizing and advocacy efforts nationwide. She was the director of the Racial Justice Project for the ACLU of Northern California and a professor at Stanford Law and Ohio State University. Michelle has also worked as a litigator at private law firms, including one right here in Oakland, where she specialized in class action lawsuits against race and gender discrimination. She is also an honorary board member of the Ella Baker Center. Thank you, Michelle. Xochilarios is a 22-year-old freedom fighter, college student, loving big sister, and the Youth Justice Program Associate at Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice, Courage. She is a youth commissioner on the Alameda County Juvenile Justice Commission. And those that know Xochitl knows that she brings her leadership and her brilliance to the Alameda County's work to reimagine youth justice. And she's also facilitating workshops with incarcerated youth. Xochitl was a Soros Fellow in 2020, and she's my inspiration, y'all. So welcome, Xochitl. Alicia Garza, my sister, is an author, political strategist, organizer, and cheeseburger enthusiast who founded the Black Futures Lab to make Black communities powerful in politics. She's also the co-creator of the Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter Global Network. She serves as a strategist and partnership director for the National Domestic Workers Alliance. She is the co-founder of Supermajority, a new home for women activists. She is the author of one of my favorite books and critically acclaimed, Purpose of Power, How We Come Together When We Fall Apart. And she warns us that hashtags don't start movements, people do. So I think we have mics. All right. So I think we have mics, and I think we have our folks online. So I can't imagine a better group to be celebrating 25 years with. Hey, look at these beautiful faces. Yes. Hello. Yeah, I couldn't imagine a better group to be having this conversation with and talking about what's next. What does the next 25 years look like? So let's get started. We're living in a world now where the Ella Baker Center and our partner organizations have actually succeeded in this long decade fight to close youth prisons in California. And at the same time, we see Border Patrol on horseback chasing Haitian immigrants with whips. At moments like this, our country is confronted with the reality of the modern criminal legal system and the history of American slavery. And it is so clear now, more than ever. So Michelle, in your groundbreaking book, The New Jim Crow, you made these connections 10 years ago. I remember. And today, this country is struggling with a massive prison system and a militarized police system. And it seems, and the right wing is openly flirting with fascism. And this seems very dangerous. What do you see as the connection between the growth of the prison industrial complex and our increasing and our urgent threat to democracy? So I want to pass it to you. I know it's a long question. I could always repeat it.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to join in this celebration and wonderful fundraiser. It's a true joy to be here with all of you. I wish I could be there in person in support of the Ella Baker Center, but I'm glad to be in dialogue with you and Alicia and Sochi. But yeah, let's dive right in. The question you're asking, Marlene, is such an important one. I think it's critical that we think about the rise of the prison industrial complex as a manifestation of the crisis in our democracy, not something that's separate from it, as though it's an isolated, policy problem that can be solved. Our system of mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex, exists for many of the same reasons that white Americans elected Donald Trump to the presidency, and that insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, and that restrictions on voting rights are being passed throughout the country, setting the stage for a legal coup in 2024. I think it all boils down to one word: fear. And by fear, I don't mean a generic fear of Black people or immigrants, or even fear of crime or violence. It's the fear of losing a claim, a fear of losing the claim to white supremacy. It's a fear of death, in a sense, the death of whiteness. And this fear is like a wild beast, a beast that's fed daily by our winners take all capitalist system, which tosses crumbs to the masses, keeping 99% of us hungry. There are real winners and losers in this system, and the risk of being a loser, of being seen as a loser and being stuck at the bottom of the pyramid without even your whiteness to protect you is terrifying. So many people of all colors, unfortunately have become obsessed with figuring out how to get higher up on the pyramid, even if it means standing upon or stepping over others. That it's become difficult for many to see that it's possible, to reconfigure ourselves entirely, to build a nation and to build a world in which none of us are stepped on, none of us are left behind, and all of us have what we need. I tried to spell out this dynamic in The New Jim Crow, how the Get Tough movement was to a large extent a backlash against the civil rights movement. Through the war on drugs and the Get Tough movement, politicians attempted to appeal to the fears of poor and working class whites, fears that they would be displaced by affirmative action, fears that Black people might leapfrog over them, that they would lose their place in the racial and class hierarchy. There was also a fear of Black power, a fear that Black people, if they gain power, might turn the tables and treat whites the way white people had treated them. I think we all know that crime and violence were real problems back then and are real problems in our communities now, and that some Black people and Black leaders supported Get Tough measures, out of desperation or political expediency. But the tidal wave of punitiveness that washed over this nation, the overwhelming punitive impulse, the quintupling of our prison and jail population, the race to incarcerate the poorest and the darkest among us, had more to do with fear of Black liberation and white displacement, the fear of white supremacy, the loss of white supremacy, than with crime or crime rates. So in a sense, I think we are dealing now with the same crisis that we have been dealing with for decades in this country. We're seeing the same racial dynamics and fears, the fears of changing demographics, the potential loss of political, economic, and cultural power among whites, fears that are fed and fueled by capitalism, on full display yet again with the rise of Trumpism and the crisis in our democracy. And even as, the publicly named targets of the fear change, the current scapegoats, maybe Mexican immigrants or Haitian immigrants or Muslims, the game remains the same. My sister and I actually just co-wrote an essay about some of these dynamics for the new 1619 book project. And in the essay, which we just entitled Fear, we trace the rise of the modern police state and mass incarceration all the way back to slavery, showing how the morphing of these systems of racial and social control are all rooted in the same fear, the fear of losing white supremacy.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking the truth. Yes, thank you. Xochitl, hey sis. You've experienced this firsthand. You've experienced the racist nature of the juvenile injustice system firsthand. And I've heard you say how restorative justice would have drastically changed your life had you been given a different opportunity. I'd love to hear from you, since you're such an advocate and a visionary around this. I'd love to hear from you a little more about that.
Thank you so much. My name is Xochitl. My pronouns are she and hers. I go by Xochitl or anything with love. And I just want to thank everyone that's in the space. And thank you for having me in this space as well. And it's an honor to be back on a panel with Michelle Alexander and also with the moderator, Marlene. So I met Marlene 4 years ago in our local juvenile hall. So it's funny that I'm now coming back into juvenile hall exactly how I met Marlene. So a little bit about my background. I'm going to just share what happened, a solution, and move forward like that. So I was born and raised in South Hayward. That is basically South County of Alameda County. And it's extremely different than Oakland, California. So thank you, Oakland, for letting me come to Oakland and call it a home until I come back to Hayward, because I am a foster youth, so I'm slowly making my way back to my hometown. I want to acknowledge that when my last lockup, I was at a continuation high school and was already my last stop and my last chance to get my school stuff right. The biggest moment of my life, my milestone, was to receive my high school diploma. However, the Hayward police came to my school at Brankwood to find me, to put me in their patrol car and go to the Hayward police station's holding cell because I committed a crime. The officers who receive less training than becoming a barber in the state of California were talking back and forth on what they were going to write so their case can be strong. It's like the system prepares itself to detain you, but it also prepares itself to keep you. As a young adult that has been in and out of the system since 7 years old, instead of looking at my file and actually making a big determination of me being in and out of the system since I was 7, they incarcerated me instead. And that triggered me, and it caused a lot of trauma. A restorative circle at the school, at Brankwood Continuation High School, should have been created for me to speak to the family that I caused harm to the person I caused harm to, have my support group there, some community members, and my mother. Not once did they call my mother when I was getting detained. Instead, they judged me, they charged me, and they did not let me walk the stage at the high school that was already my last stop to get my high school diploma, the biggest milestone of a young person's life. Now, thanks to SB 823, youth with crime labels that our Welfare Institution Code 707 B list, serious juvenile offenders in California. I just want to remind folks that this label was created by the state to control negative so-called human behaviors versus to control capitalism, the bigger problem going on, and white supremacy, the bigger problem going on. Now, again, like I said, thanks to SB 823, those youth that have those labels, the conversations we're having about now is about 707B offenses. The list of serious juvenile offenses in California will reside in our Alameda County Juvenile Hall. And if we do not elevate restorative justice practices, then I'm afraid to tell you that we will create a mini prison because youth are not being detained for petty crimes anymore in our local juvenile hall. It's the serious crimes we need to be having discussions about at our dinner table with our young people, with our teachers, fathers, uncles, and discuss what does restorative justice mean to you? Because for me, it could have saved my life. I was already in track of getting my life together. I was a swim instructor and I was still on probation. And my probation officer knew I was homeless, but instead, she did not fight for me. She believed her co-partners. They followed the charges and basically concealed me. I am here now thanks to a community-based organization coming to Juvenile Hall and meeting me, which was Marlene and Alejandra. And if it wasn't for those two young women, I literally would be in Concord right now, still trying to get my life together. And that's where they released me at, instead of back in my community to Hayward. That's why I'm slowly making my way back home. I've moved 5 times in the last 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Xochitl, and thank you for going back and reaching back to all the other young people we leave behind. I think that is our duty, right? To not forget those that we've left behind. And thank you for doing that. All right, sis. Let's talk about power.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. In your book, The Purpose of Power, you describe power as both the ability to make decisions that affect our own lives and the lives of others, and the ability to both reward and punish. And you describe the resources, and it seems that we will need both power to bring about the change that Xochitl is talking about and that Ella Baker Center has been fighting for. Why is power such an important topic? And what becomes possible when we actually hold power, which is what we've been trying to build. So, love to hear about. Let's talk about power.
Let's do it. Well, first of all, congratulations, EBC, on your 25th anniversary. This makes me feel kind of old, but also really proud. Really, really proud. There's a lot of institutions that don't make it. So, congratulations. Let's talk about power. It's all I like to talk about these days. And if you're following what's happening in the news around, the agenda of getting an infrastructure bill, right, for this country, then you'll understand why power is so important. I want to just say really quickly that the reason that I wrote this book is because I don't think we focus enough on power. We focus a lot on personalities. We focus a lot, right, on things that are not about making the rules, being able to change the rules, and ultimately being able to set the agenda. And so for me, power is all of those things. And I'm so glad you all have Ai-jen's framework up here. Ai-jen is brilliant. I did have to text her a little picture like, you famous.
Yes.
But Ai-jen always talks about how there's at least 5 forms of power that we need to be thinking about how to build at any given time in order to really win for our people. And I, in the book, talk about the distinction between power and empowerment, which is often confused. I think a lot of times when we say power, we're talking about being empowered. And empowerment is not a bad thing, right? Empowerment is essentially self-esteem. It is feeling really good about yourself in your current circumstances. So I feel empowered when I wake up in the morning. I look in the mirror, I'm like, you looking good, girl. Right?
Yes.
I feel empowered. I do my superwoman pose, before my calls and all the things. And then I walk outside my front door and I am hit with how little power, right, we've built.
Yes.
I'm not saying that to say that we're not doing good work. I'm saying that to say, right, we have many more mountains to climb. And the mountains that we're trying to climb are about how do we make the rules, change and shape the rules, and shape the agenda.
That's right.
Zach, you talked earlier about some bills that you all are trying to move, right? The ability to get those bills passed the ability to get those bills implemented, the ability to change the conditions in people's lives requires power. It doesn't require us to feel good about our current circumstances. It requires us to be the people who are making and shaping the rules. So, another thing I want to say about what becomes possible is that we can win real things for real people. You know, this conversation that is happening in Washington feels very process heavy, right? Some of y'all, you just turn off the news because you're like, why do I care about this? Well, when I don't turn off the news, I think about the fact that so many people who I love and respect don't have the things that they need to live well, right? So many people I know are facing eviction. So many people I know can't go to the doctor because they don't have insurance. So many people I know are working in jobs that do not make ends meet. Yeah? And so for me, I'm looking at these negotiations that are happening, right? And I'm like, oh, we need power. We need power. Because you know who has power? You know who has power? The people who are blocking our stuff. So, this is important to me in our movement because we deserve to have the things that we need to live well, and we have to win real things for real people. We have to make a difference in people's lives. That's the goal of a movement. That's the whole part, that's the whole point. This is hard work. We wouldn't be doing this work for any other reason. Yeah? So I will also just say lastly that what's possible if we are able to build the power we need is that we can also transform it. I think a lot of us, right, have been afraid of having power and exercising power because power, as we see it exercised right now, is deeply corrupt. It's deeply corrupt. So why would we want to become that? But if we build enough power to make rules and change rules, we can also transform the way that power operates. We can transform systems. We can build new systems. We can implement new systems. And that is why it's important for us to be able to have control of these levers, all of these.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning Ai-jen Poo's model of power. We actually added one more to Ai-jen Poo's model.
I know, I
which
saw
is,
that.
Yeah,
I
which is
noticed.
healing power. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've been taught is that if you don't transform it, you transfer it, right? And that it is important that healing power is important, that it helps to build generational power. And so, yeah, so thank you for mentioning that. I love that. You know, a population that's been excluded from power is young people, right? There's many populations, but young people have been excluded from power. And Xochitl, I wanted you to talk a little bit about why is it important to build voice and power of young people, and why is it important to make sure that young people hold power in these political spaces? And I've definitely heard you talk about it. I know the work that you do at Courage is about building power. And so if you could talk a little bit about like what becomes possible when young people hold power.
Thank you, Marlene, and thank you, Alicia. That was beautiful. I just want to start off with identity. Holding identity means tapping into that youth power. Or let's say that youngin, right? Tapping into your youngin self. And recognizing that you have it in you. Your voice, your circle, your persona, your story is sacred. And when you joint it with power, transformation process happens. It's also healing and restorative because a voice that the system wanted to bury and conceal, put away, has manifested into self-agency to represent all young folk, especially the ones falling through the cracks that we're talking about, the ones that we don't want to talk about. Just lock them up, put them away. at a policy level, since policy runs the game. So when you let a young person speak up for themselves, I feel like we speak truth, we speak from a genuine place and constant solution. And something that courage taught me was the closer to the pain that you are, the more strategic you are with the solution. And sometimes we're looking for long answers, but this one, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Thank you, Marlene.
Awesome. Thank you. And I just wanted to say too, it was, Michelle, I know when we first asked you to be a part of this celebration, that you really you were like, I want to do it if there's young people. And so I just want to thank you for that, because you were like, you're probably tired of having conversations with just we need young people in these conversations. And so I just want to thank you for that, because you really made that possible. And I couldn't have think of a better young person, leader here than Xochitl. So thank you, Xochitl. So Michelle, you wrote the new Jim Crow in the early days of the Obama presidency, in a time where folks were calling it, where America's was calling it like a triumph over race. And fast forward to last summer, right, where we saw the largest uprising in U.S. history, a direct response to racialized police violence. We understand that this myth is a lie, right? And I think Americans also, I think people talked about it as the blindfolds coming off for some folks, where folks had an awakening of consciousness. And so what becomes possible with this new evolving social consciousness that we're seeing today?
Well, thanks. And I'm so glad that Sochi is here.
Yes.
And I've had the opportunity to be in dialogue with Sochi before. I just really so appreciate your presence and the contributions you've made to the movement. And Marlene, I have to say, I'm not sure how to answer the question, to be honest. I guess part of me is not entirely clear what the current social consciousness is. And so it's difficult to say what is or is not possible within it. A friend of mine the other day described anti-racism as the new yoga, meaning everyone now is dabbling in it and claims to love it, but the liberative potential is at risk of being lost. And I would also add that, I'm now old enough that I've lived through a number of national racial awakenings. I remember when the beating of Rodney King supposedly woke everyone from their racial slumber. The very first protest I ever attended was a protest against the not guilty verdict for the officers who beat Rodney King. And I remember marching alongside people of all colors. And I remember reading news reports that made me think that this was, an awakening moment for America. And I remember the supposed awakening that occurred when O.J. Simpson was acquitted, and people were wondering, why was it that Black people were celebrating and white people were scowling? And an awakening that briefly followed Troy Davis's execution, and then the awakening after Trayvon Martin, and of course Ferguson, and now the biggest, most spectacular of all racial awakenings, the uprisings, the incredible uprisings in the wake of George Floyd's death. And so I don't mean to be cynical here at all, because I'm really not. I'm actually quite hopeful in this moment. But I think the reason that I'm hopeful, and I think this is what you're really getting at with your question, is that it's not so much that our national consciousness offers especially fertile ground, but that we have reason to hope because of the movements that are being built in real time. Not just Black Lives Matter, the movement for Black lives, which has been transformative. but also the radical, multiracial, multi-ethnic movements for abolition, immigrant rights, indigenous rights, the protection of native land, climate justice, economic justice, the movements that are naming white supremacy and capitalism as threats, not just to our communities, but to our planet, our shared home. These movements are reimagining what justice means and what our democracy and our economy can and should be. And the Ella Baker Center is absolutely part of the leadership that's beginning to show the way here. And you know, when I published The New Jim Crow a decade ago, like you said, our nation was awash in color blindness and post-racialism, and we have overcome. And so much has changed and so much has remained the same. But I would say that, you know, the biggest change hasn't necessarily been in our social consciousness, but the movements that have grown and have been built, that have made new freedom dreams possible, possible to attain through dedication and organization. And so if more is possible today than 10 years ago, I think it's because our movements have made it so.
That's right. Yes.
Yay.
Yes, that's right. I continue to be inspired by also the young people who are leading the climate change work and the movement that they're building. So yes, I agree. Thank you. Earlier when we were talking, you said organizations don't make it. And that's true. And in your book, you say, some will argue that you don't need to be a part of an organization, to be part of a movement. And that is true. And yet, if you want to be part of a movement that is sustained, you need successful organizations, which I love. I'm like, yes. And as we celebrate the Ella Baker's 25-year anniversary, why do you think it's so important that we invest in organizations and building institutions and organizations?
Oh, Marlene.
You know, we don't come.
I know we don't come so far. So far.
Yes.
Well, look, I really wanted to make this intervention because I think that when we see the expressions of movements, protests, marches, things like that, I think people think it's like you just like add water and things happen, right? And I've heard a lot of people come to me a lot and say, I want to create a movement around this, so what do I do? And I'm like, I have no idea. This is a hard question because movements are not just about what you do on social media, and they're not just about what happens when you attend a protest. Movements are really built, sustained, and in a lot of ways created, right? When people who have common goals come together in different forms with a strategy to make change. The Ella Baker Center for Human Rights is one of those organizations. It's had a strategy over the last 25 years to end mass incarceration and rebuild and restore communities and dignity to people in our communities, right? But as you said earlier, Marlene, Ella Baker Center is not the only organization that's been doing that. That's right. But the reason that we've been able to make so much progress in between all of the eruptions and disruptions is because the glue that brings those things together, that engine is still churning. That engine is still churning. When everybody goes home, when the signs go in the closet,
In the trunk.
in the trunk, or wherever they go, there are still people who are working. And I wanted to make this point because I think it's important for us to understand that movements need infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Movements need vehicles where people can go and learn about what's happening and why it's happening and what they can do about it. Movements need vehicles like the Ella Baker Center, right? That can be fighting and working and writing new rules, right? And getting those implemented. Movements need organizations like the Ella Baker Center who can help respond to crises, but also help build and rebuild community. that doesn't happen just because people wake up and decide it's so, right? People go to do this work every single day, and that is what connects protest to protest, but it's also, right, what is fundamental to how the Ella Baker Center is still here today, right? It's not just about the staff, right? It's about all the families and people that you're touching that make sure that this organization doesn't go away. I've been around long enough and seen enough formations and been in enough, you know, we've been in this. Been there, girl. Marlene, I love you so much. I love you so much. Not everybody made it. Not everybody made it. And what happens when we're really successful is we get targeted. We get targeted. So this movement is not new, but this phase of it is our stamp on it, right? But we had to rebuild a whole bunch of stuff that got decimated by the state, right? And we also had to rebuild a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't clear in its intention from the beginning. The Ella Baker Center is here 25 years later because of you, because of your commitment, because of your dedication, but also because it's a strategic leader in this broader movement to change what's happening with the criminal legal system. And it's going to be here for another 25 years if we have anything to say about it.
That's right. Okay, we're getting close on time. So, Michelle, I want to ask you the last question. Thank you, Alicia. Love you, sis. So, we just talked about how movements need organizations, infrastructure. Organizations also need homes. And you have been not only a champion for this space, but you've held that vision with us. This includes this vision of the space that we're in today, Restore Oakland. You were an advisor, a thought partner for the whole entire 6 years as we were building this space. That's our EBC, our forever home at EBC. So I want to say thank you. Yes. Yes. What kept you connected for those 6 years? And how does this vision fit into your vision for the future? Like why? What kept you so connected for 6 years? I'd just love to hear that because I wasn't a part of those 6 years, and love to hear from you.
Well, it's fair to say that the Ella Baker Center and I go way, way back, much further back even than 6 years. I remember when EBC was founded in 1996. I remember when Van Jones was a wild-eyed radical standing on street corners with a bullhorn, blasting the racist cops and leading rambunctious groups of teenagers into police commission meetings to shut them down. I was a young civil rights lawyer at the ACLU in Northern California back then, just a few blocks away, directing the Racial Justice Project. And what I saw being born at EBC through the organizing and activism of Black and brown young people, kids who were being hunted by the police, but who weren't backing down and who were using the power of hip hop and poetry and protest, all combined in a bold freestyle mix, speaking truth to power, but also acting up in the most courageous and beautiful way. Honestly, I look back on those days and I just feel overwhelming gratitude that I got to be there and see it come alive and be part of it in some small way. I'm grateful that I got to organize alongside those young people who blew my mind wide open about the possibilities for movement building and activism and art and music to be blended together. And it's just been extraordinary to see EBC grow and evolve. And, as Alicia was saying, develop into such a strategic partner in our movements. And I should also add that I love that Ella Baker is the namesaker and the spirit of the organization. In so many ways, over the course of so many years, highs and lows, the Ella Baker Center strive to remained true to her vision. And she understood that the strength and determination of ordinary people and the power of the organizations that they build together is the power that fuels meaningful change. So I guess you could say that I was there when this party got started, and I'm not going home anytime soon. And it's been such a joy to see this work evolve and unfold over time.
Oh, thank you. Yes, this party is still going. So thank you so much. And we are out of time. I just want you all to please show some love to our panelists and give you a big hug, sis. Oh. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Xochitl. And I think I'm bringing someone else up. Yes, Isa? Hey. All right, man, let's give it up for our panelists. That was beautiful. It was inspiring. Man, I could be here all night with y'all, but I know we don't have all night, so. I want to bring up Isa, who is our first ever outside fellow of our Inside Outside Fellowship, our inaugural
so
fellow.
Good to go. I'm going to put the link to the YouTube in the chat in case you want to keep watching it there.
Man, and if you don't know, now you'll know. But this fellowship is amazing, and it has been a culmination of just all the brilliance that folks have been doing on the inside and outside, just coming together. The dual fellowship program pays an inside, pays somebody who is currently incarcerated, and pays somebody who is on the outside, also supporting, right? Because we need to be building those bridges. Like, we can't do this without each other. And Isa has been really leading some of our statewide policy work in collaboration with the policy team and our inside fellow Tan. They've also been really leading the Stop San Quinn outbreak during the pandemic and organizing with folks on the inside, organizing with families who were reaching out, worried, and couldn't reach their loved one. Isa has been like outside the prison on the calls, writing letters, and so I couldn't be more proud to have Isa on our team and welcome her so that she can introduce the next Partner in Power Award. So thank you, Isa. Yeah.
Hey, community. I said, hey, community. That's right. On behalf of our policy team and all of EBC, I'm really honored to present the next Partner in Power Award to California Coalition for Women Prisoners, AKA CCWP. That's right, give it up. Yeah. That's right, Kelly. Come on up here. Yes, let's all celebrate you. So for those of you who don't know, for the past 25 years, CCWP has really been leading our movement statewide and being able to challenge the abusive conditions happening inside women's prisons across the state, being able to advocate and fight for the freedom of incarcerated women, trans, non-binary, intersex, and femme community members. And yes, that's right. And concretely support them upon their release during the height of the COVID-19 outbreak that impacted California State Prison statewide. CCWP really led direct actions calling for clemency and urgent releases for our community members, including folks serving life without the possibility of parole sentences. This magical, magical warrior next to me, Kelly Savage Rodriguez. I said Kelly Savage Rodriguez. Sorry for everyone tuning in online, is just a true champion for her community members, is loved by so many hundreds of people who she mentored and organized with while incarcerated and continues to fight for every day. I'm talking about every day, providing emotional labor, support, concrete resources, and advocating for their freedom until they're home with us. I thank you so much, Kelly. Please join me in opening your wallets or opening up your applause to thank CCWP for all of the work that they've done for the past 25 years. Thank you, Kelly.
absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so very much. As someone who did 23 years of incarceration, was also a child of incarceration as well, I was absolutely blessed to be able to have a position inside to work one-on-one with people from California Coalition for Women Prisoners, and then come out and get a position as a former LWOP. Knowing that I was leading the movement to help others was absolutely amazing. Not because my situation is extraordinary by any means. There is so many inside just like me every single day fighting and doing the same thing I was doing side by side with me. They just haven't been recognized yet. So we have to lead that movement to get them out here with us, because we know we are the change that is going to happen in this future. There is so many amazing things that we do besides Drop LWOP, working hand in hand with people on medical issues, so many other areas, trying to address concerns inside, whether it's the brutality that people are facing or just the loneliness that people are facing. We have so many different opportunities. We're now writing more people inside because we have this Writing Warriors program that allows us the opportunity to connect one-on-one on a daily basis with people and remind them that there's people like you guys out here. So I just appreciate everybody for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, CCWP, California Coalition for Women Prisoners. It's also CCWP's 25th anniversary. I want to say thank you, congratulations, and cheers to 25 more years with CCWP as well. All right, I'd like to welcome Diana Frappier, our co-founder of the Ella Baker Center. Diana's also on our board, and she supports many organizations. She's on the board of many organizations in the Bay Area. Diana received her BA in social work and her JD at Hastings College of Law. And in addition to serving the Ella Baker Center, which she's been doing since the beginning, she operates a private community criminal defense practice, and she serves on the board of multiple Bay Area nonprofits. She's a San Francisco native, woo woo, and a real estate broker, and she supports her community and members of her community to empower them through home ownership. Diana, we are so grateful for all that you've done for EBC, and we want to thank you and appreciate you with an award, and that we'll give you later. And so we will bring you on up, and if folks could please join me in welcoming Diana. Come on. Where is it? I'm gonna give it to you.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I cannot believe EBC is 25 years old. Feeling old. So I just first want to thank everybody who has something to do with tonight, everybody who's here, all the staff, the volunteers. I just want to thank everybody. And I'm very grateful tonight. I'm grateful that I met Van Jones 27 years ago. I'm grateful that he invited me on this journey to kind of lay the foundation for Bay Area Police Watch, Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, Books Not Bars, Third Eye Movement, Transaction, New York City Police Watch. We even had a police watch in New York City for a while. So it's been a long history. He and I have been talking lately about a lot of memories and a lot of things we've done over the years. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for all the people who are part of the Ella Baker Center family. And if you know me, I do consider it a family, and everybody who's been through here one way or another to be part of that family. So the staff, the current staff who you either already know or have heard about some of the amazing work that they're doing, changing laws to get people home, keep people out of jail, better the conditions in custody, make situations better when they come home. So all of that work that they're doing in statewide and local to Alameda County is just amazing. It's an amazing team right now. And also everybody who's been through here over the last 25 years and all the amazing things that they've gone on to do. There's so many to name. Zach was one of them who left us, and then we got him to come back to lead the organization, which we appreciate. The board, we've been lucky to have amazing boards over the year. I see a lot of board members, old board members, current board members here tonight. Really people, good people who believe in the vision of the organization and support the staff. So I'm really appreciative of them. The volunteers, I was trying to think, like, can I even estimate the number of people who have given so much of themselves over the years to be part of the work that we do, and I just can't even start to imagine, and then the impact that we've had on people. So it's overwhelming kind of to think about everything that's happened over the years. And then the donors, because if it wasn't for the donors, you know, from the dollars to the $1 million, from that first donation we got, I remember the first check we got, Van was like, we were doing Police Watch and I was kind of volunteering. He was like, I got a check for $30,000. He was like, you want to start an organization? I was like, let's do it. So that's from that very first, you know, to any donations that are coming in tonight. You know, everything matters and makes this work possible. So very grateful for that. I'm grateful for this physical building that EBC has now that represents community and love and groundedness, you know, that we're here. I'm grateful for Ella Baker, who believed in people, especially young people, and inspired them to see their power and make change with that power. Very grateful. And I'm grateful for all who believe in justice and who are inspired to take action even when things feel overwhelming or things feel hopeless, but you still take action. We need that. Please keep doing that. That's what we need. In addition to being grateful, I'm inspired and hopeful for what's to come in the next 25 years. And then now I get to introduce Van. So I have a bio to read for anybody who doesn't know who Van is, but just I want to say kind of who he is to me first. He's a dear friend of mine. He's a loving father. He's a brother, uncle. He just gave my daughter Justice some good advice last week. So good uncle. He's a visionary, a leader, someone who puts love before hate and believes in love over hate. He, you know, has really decided and chosen to use his brilliance and strategic mind and bravery to make change in this world. So I love him very much. And so now I'll read his formal bio. Okay. CNN's Van Jones is a U.S. media personality, an entrepreneur, and a world-class changemaker. He has a rare track record in the modern era of bringing people together to do hard things in areas as diverse as clean energy solutions, criminal justice reform, and racial inclusion in the tech sector. In 2009, he worked in the Obama White House as a special advisor for green jobs. In 2018, he helped pass the First Step Act, which the New York Times calls the most substantial breakthrough in criminal justice in a generation. Over the past 25 years, Van has founded and led many successful social enterprises, including Reform Alliance, Ella Baker Center, Color of Change, Green for All, and the Dream Corps. He worked with Prince to launch Yes We Code, now called Dream Corps Tech, to get jobs in the tech sector for scores of low-opportunity young people. A world-class communicator of world-class ideas, Van is also a CNN host, an Emmy Award-winning producer, and a 3-time New York Times best-selling author. So thank you all for coming tonight. And now you're going to see Van. Van couldn't be here with us tonight, but you're going to see him on the screen. So thank you all very much.
Well, I want to, first of all, thank Diana. There would be no Ella Baker Center for Human Rights were it not for Diana. I met her when she was a student at Hastings Law School. I was going around trying to find people who would want to volunteer for my police misconduct hotline, Bay Area Police Watch, as we called it. Found a bunch of students to volunteer, but only one actually did any work. They would all come over to the office and talk politics and philosophy, and only one did any work, and that was Diana. And that started a very long partnership where I talked a lot, but she built a lot and managed a lot and helped us build something really special. So I owe her a lot, and I also owe so many other people a great debt of thanks. It's very unusual for an idea that you come up with when you're 26, 27 years old,
Amaka Akpo,
for it
Hayes
to work at
Morehouse,
all,
Pyle Patel, Debbie
for it
Leggio,
to make
are
any
just
difference
a
at
small
all, for it to
smattering
get
of the
even
amazing
one
staff who
grant,
helped build this
let alone to attract
organization, and we
a
appreciate
co-founder
you
like
dearly
Diana.
and deeply.
Support from people like
past board
Eva
member
Patterson,
Sandra Bass,
who gave us so much
there's so
support
many
at the Lawyers
people
Committee for Civil Rights.
who,
Support from a
I
guy
could
like
just
John
go
Crew,
around the room and
who
continue
was a
to
young
name folks,
attorney
but
at the
I won't do that. I
ACLU
just
who stuck up
to
for
say
us
thank you all for being here.
and signed on to every grant proposal.
And thank you for building this
It's
organization.
very rare that these ideas get
How are we
funded,
doing
get
with
a
the
chance, let alone 25 years later
So
for
also wanna
that
thank-
idea
and I
and
get
that
to-
organization to still be providing
I
such
appreciate it,
tremendous
Payal.
service. I'll
I
never
want
be
to
able
thank
to
some of our current board
Zach
members. I
Norris
want to thank our
enough.
board chair.
I'll never be able
Phil
to thank
Sanders.
Lenore Anderson enough.
I want to thank Jeremy.
I'll never be
I
able
see
to
you,
thank
Phil.
Nicole
I wanna
Lee
thank
enough, or
Holly.
Tony
I see
Coleman
you,
enough,
Holly.
or Mike McClune
I
enough.
remember
They're-
recruiting Holly at a lunch.
you know, I think
and
back
saying,
to
Holly, you need to be
all
on
the
our
tough
board.
fights.
But Holly was
we
already
were
a member
little,
of the Ella Baker Center,
nobody knew
which
our
is how you
name.
should do it as a board member.
We had
You
to
should
call
be
a press
involved
conference
and
and
engaged.
we
And
wouldn't
Holly
even know if
was
anybody would show up.
representing,
We'd call rallies
and
and be lucky to get a dozen
I've
people.
never done this before. I
And,
never had to like fill time, but
we made a
I'm doing
difference.
it now.
And
I feel pretty
we
good
fought
about
our
it
way
because it's
through
like
it.
I'm supposed to be here.
And
You know, like
we closed 5 abusive
oh, I'm not supposed to
youth
be here. I'm
prisons.
sorry.
We helped to reform the San Francisco Police
How are
Department.
we
We got a
doing,
horrible
y'all?
police
Come on.
officer named Mark and
This
Dias
is the
fired.
only time Van
All
Jones
those
has
during
been
my
muted. Come on. He's a
tenure,
national
10-year
spokesperson.
tenure.
Y'all can't. We got to get it together.
And more than that, we
I
showed
can tell
that
more jokes.
when it wasn't easy,
No, but seriously,
and when it
I
wasn't
just want to
popular,
thank everybody
that
for
taking
being
a stand
here.
against mass
We
incarceration,
don't take
taking a
it
stance
lightly
against
that
unlawful
given
police violence
climate change,
was something you could do,
given
and you
a
could
global pandemic,
survive the backlash. You could
given
actually
all
win.
that is going
And
on
we,
that
we
y'all
were able
showed
to
up
prove that. And
here
now
at the Fruitvale.
the stuff we're talking about is
there
as
are so
mainstream
many
as mainstream
people
can
here,
get. You had people in both
who
political
I've
parties
talked
run
to
for
who
president on some of our
literally
ideas.
just got out
25
of
years
jail.
later.
I
So
got
my great
emails
hope is
and-
that 25
and
years
texts
from now,
folks who said,
the Ella Baker
you know,
Center.
I just got out in LA, but I'm gonna be there. And we were like, what? Because the tickets are sold out, but we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna make it happen. And so, like, it's not lost on me, like, what it means for each of you to be sitting in those seats. And it's not lost on me that I can now go sit down because the tech situation has been resolved. Thank you, y'all.
Well, I want to first of all thank Diana.
Well,
I want to first of all thank Diana. Human Rights. There would be no Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. I met her when she was a student at Hastings Law School. I was going around trying to find people at Hastings Law School. I want to volunteer, going around trying to find people police misconduct volunteer for my Bay Area Police Watch hotline, called it. Bay Area Police Watch. Found a bunch of students to volunteer, but only one actually did any work. Students to volunteer, they would all come over to the office and talk politics and philosophy. They would all come over to the office and talk politics and philosophy. And that started a very long partnership. And that started a very long partnership. I talked a lot, but she built a lot. And I talked a lot, but she built a lot and helped us and managed a lot really special. And helped us. I owe her a lot. Special. And I also owe I owe her a lot, and I also owe so many other people. It's very unusual for an idea. It's very unusual when you're 26, 27 years old that you come up with when you're 26, 27 years old. For it to work at all, difference at all. For it to get even make any difference at all. For it to get let alone to attract one grant founder like let alone to attract a support from people like Eva Patterson, support from people like Eva Patterson for civil rights, who gave us so much support from a guy like John Crew for civil rights, who was a young guy like John Crew, who stuck up for us, attorney at the ACLU, signed on every grant proposal for us, and signed on every grant proposal. These ideas get funded. It's very rare that chance these ideas, let alone get funded, get 25 years later, let alone for 25 years later, and that organization to still be that idea providing such that organization service. Still I'll never be able to thank providing such tremendous Zachary Norris enough. I'll never be able to thank Lenore Anderson enough. I'll never be able to thank Lenore Anderson enough, Lee enough, or Tony Coleman enough. I'll never be able to thank Michael Lee enough, or Tony Coleman enough, or Mike McClune. I think back to all the tough fights. I think back to when we were little, all the tough fights. Nobody knew our name. When we were little, we had to call a press conference. We wouldn't even know if anybody would show up. Call a press conference and call rallies. We wouldn't even know if anybody would show up. Lucky to get a dozen people. Call rallies and be lucky to get a dozen people. We made a difference, and we made our way through. And we fought our way through. Closed 5 abusive youth prisons. We closed 5 San Francisco Police Department. We got horrible police officers named Mark and Dia fired. Department. We got all those during my named Mark and Dia fired. All those during my 10-year tenure. More than that, we showed that, and more than that, we showed when it wasn't easy, and when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't easy, that taking a stand against mass incarceration, taking a stand against mass incarceration, taking was something you could do, and you could survive the backlash, you could actually win, and we survived the backlash, you could actually win. Now, and the stuff we're talking about is as mainstream now. Get the stuff we're talking about is mainstream as mainstream president. On some of our ideas, both political parties run for president 25 years later. On some of our ideas. So my great hope is that 25 years from now. So my great hope is that 25 years from now, the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights will still be there. Stuff, but much more importantly, doing unbelievable stuff. But much more importantly, you might have an idea. You watching this right now, that might seem crazy, that might seem impossible, that might seem unlikely. Take from tonight the inspiration to just do it anyway, to try it anyway, to give it a shot. You might win, you might lose, you might fail, but you also might succeed. And in the world where you succeed, you have no idea how much good you can do for people. You have no idea how many lives you can change, how many people you can help in the world where you win. And the only way to win is to try. And the only way to try is to believe. I'm a much older guy in many, many ways than I was when Diana and I taped a piece of paper to a closet at the Lawyers Committee that said Ella Baker Center for Human Rights on it. It said Ella Baker Center for Human Rights in California. But we also taped something else to that door. I cut it out of the newspaper and it said, just getting started. 25 years ago, the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights was just getting started. And given the leadership that we have right now, I could say the same thing all over again, just getting started. I want to thank everybody. And I'm proud. I'm proud that we took the shot that we did. Let's keep it coming.
Thank you, Diana and Van, for your vision back in the 90s and for your continued support today. We wouldn't be here without you. My name is Jeremy Monton, he, him, his, and I am honored to be the Vice President of the Ella Baker Board. I am honored to present the next Partner in Power to our powerful friends at Trans Queer Pueblo. Trans Queer Pueblo is an autonomous LGBTQ+ migrant community of color that creates cycles of mutual support to cultivate leadership and generate community of power. They have been an incredible partner in our annual national program, Night Out for Safety and Liberation. Over the past 5 years, they created safe spaces for trans and queer migrant folks in Phoenix, Arizona that truly embody the spirit of Night Out for Safety and Liberation. To bring into being the necessary art and action that will bring us all closer to liberation. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Daybeth Ruiz, coordinator of the Trans Queer Pueblos Community Defense Project, who will accept the Partner in Power Award virtually.
Mil gracias por este reconocimiento al centro de Ella Baker. Soy David Ruiz, coordinador del proyecto de defensa comunitaria en Trans Queer Pueblo. Soy un hombre transgénero de la ciudad de Puebla, México. Migré a los Estados Unidos en el 2005 después de una golpiza y amenaza de muerte. En el 2017 conocí la organización de Transqueer Pueblo y me sentí en un lugar seguro. Y con los talleres de identidad de género me di cuenta que soy un hombre trans. Hoy vengo en representación de la organización de Transqueer Pueblo. Somos una comunidad autónoma en Phoenix que se dedica a luchar por la justicia racial y de género y que se concentra en la organización de base. Nos gobernamos colectivamente con nuestra membresía de más de 300 personas LGBT, migrantes, documentados e indocumentados y de color. Trabajamos para transformar esta ciudad hacia los valores de hermandad, familia, autonomía, autodeterminación y liberación. Si gustas saber más, puedes seguirnos en las redes sociales de Facebook, Instagram o Twitter.
Pueblo. All right, y'all, we have come to the end of our program. I want to thank you all. We talked about deconstructing police, prisons. We talked about the importance of including youth voice, the importance of building power, building organizations, and the importance of all of you here tonight. You are our power. You are our organization, and you are our supporters in community, and we couldn't be more proud to be in community with you. So thank you for being a part of this anniversary, of this event, of this journey with us. We have come a long way, and over the next year, we hope to get to, over the next year, we're gonna be doing work to get to zero incarceration of youth. We're going to be expanding our fellowship program that I told you about into 3 different prisons. And we're going to continue to invest in families through our Healing Through Action program. We truly can't do this without you. I just want to say thank you for being here tonight. Give yourselves a hand. Thank you for those who are watching online and have stayed with us as we ran over. Appreciate you. I know that folks have to go to bed. So just thank you so much for being here tonight and helping us get to the next 25 years. All right, one last thing. One last thing, because I know folks haven't had dinner either. All right, so on your way out, please make sure you grab a bag. Look at how nice these are. Hey. And then you grab your dinner. So I don't know if Reem is here, but I just want to thank Reem who did the dinner for us. I want to thank our volunteers over there. This couldn't have happened without our people power. So make sure you get your dinner. Have a wonderful night. Get home safe. We love you, and thank you.
I am a woman. I am a mother. I am a daughter. And I'm living in my pride. I am black. I am brown. I am round. Living in my pride. Living in my pride. I am a singer. I am a dancer. I am music. Living in my pride. I am a tree. I am a flower. I am freedom. I am you. You are me. We are me. Living in our pride. Living in our pride. Living in our pride. Living in my pride. Skandisaka elenyanga Iti yehla kuyenyuka Njalo njalo kuze phela unyaka Sivuka noma singafuni Skandisaka elenyanga Iti yehla kuyenyuka Njalo njalo kuze phela unyaka Zaga 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 Sifuni zaga 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 Sifuni zaga 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 We can do anything for Maria Pepa Okomoto Funa Mandela Love Kona Hey, we can do anything for Himalaya City of gold, city of light, city of hopes and dreams Some end up in the streets, others make it through, the ones that have influence. Money can buy innocence, money can buy happiness. Make me look very nice, walking with confidence. Shop on my diva dance, hey.